You're listening to Our 2 Cents with the team from SGL Financial, building wealth for life. Steve Lewitt is the president of SGL Financial, and Gabriel Lewitt is the CEO. They're here to discuss all the latest in financial news, trends, strategies, and more.
All right, welcome everybody. Good morning. This is Gabriel Lewitt, Steve Lewitt here, and Trent Martin is joining us here. Welcome back. Actually, it's been a little bit of a break since our last podcast, and there's a very interesting and cool reason for that. That's because as of this show here, we have decided to relaunch our podcast format, and we're really excited because we've got a brand new show for you. It's revamped, re-edited here for 2019. We're really excited about it. And, of course, the new focus that we're going to talk about here is we think that things are going to be more interesting for you. So we're going to focus on having a little more fun on this show here. Right, Trent?
That's right.
Right,
Looking
Steve?
forward to it. Excited.
You know what, Gabriel? I don't believe in fun. I want serious conversation.
Right.
And that's it.
Well, we can be as serious as we want to be or as fun as we want to be. That's kind of the goal of our new show here today. And what we're going to talk mostly about is current news, right? Talking points that are interesting, headlines, things that you're going to be really interested in hearing about, some local news. So, again, we're really excited about this new format, and that's what we're going to dive in here today, guys. So I don't know if you're ready. I got my snow boots off and my work shoes back on here.
Boy, minus 40 degrees.
Unbelievable. 8,000 flights canceled out of local airports.
Just 8,000?
Just 8,000.
Oh, that's good. I mean, could have been 9,000.
Could have been 9,000.
I don't know about you guys, but I have frost on the inside of my windows. So it's like, wow, I need new windows.
I can beat you on that. The inside of my microwave had frost in it.
You should bring it in from the outside.
I think there's an insulation issue in my kitchen, actually, that I need to get checked out.
Yeah, let's make sure you
But I'm going to wait till it's warmer
out.
Before we do that.
Yeah, so I wonder on my electric bill, what this is going to cost me.
Just a couple bucks more.
Just a couple?
Just a couple.
Okay.
Well, you guys are business owners. I read something, too, that said local businesses cost them over $1 billion in lost revenues based on people closing and employees not being able to make it to work. Like their car got broke down like somebody else maybe we know here.
Somebody here
sorry.
wasn't able to make it
guys.
to work on that day.
Mm-hmm.
I contributed to the $1 billion. Sorry, boys.
Well, we'll take it out of your paycheck.
Somebody here. I wonder who that was.
I tried my best. I swear I did.
Oh, man. I can't believe how cold it was. And anyways, it's pretty cool because it's going to get back up now, I think, to 45 or 50 degrees even this Sunday, which is something like a 100-degree swing.
Unbelievable.
That's pretty cool. So hopefully it all melts and goes away.
Speaking of swings, Gabriel, do you know the S&P in the history had 8,000-point swings? And guess how many of those were in 2018?
I know the answer, so for me to guess, I think would be an unfair guess. Maybe Trent should guess here.
I think I know the answer, too.
Everybody here knows the answer. 1, 2, 3.
Well, it happened to be 5.
It
happened to be
yes,
5.
5 of them. That's pretty crazy. Last year was an interesting ride. We'll maybe talk a little bit about that here. But before we dive into some of the news articles here that we've compiled for today's show, the one that jumped out at me the most that we want to talk about here, kind of our feature, is a little bit timely because finally the IRS is back in office and working thanks to the end of the shutdown, at least temporarily. And so taxes and tax preparation is back on the minds of millions and millions of Americans, and many of our listeners out there. You might be starting to think about filing your taxes this year and all the fun things that you're going to do with that money that you get back. There's just one problem. You may not get back the money if you get scammed.
Yeah, that would be that's a big problem with identity theft and everything out there. So
yeah, so you don't want to get scammed. And I don't know about you, if you're anything like me or our office here, we get scammed or potential scammed by emails and phone calls, all the time. And so it's something in today's world. I mean, it's just crazy. You just have to be watching out for it because there's so many guys out there. And I don't know, who are these scammers just sitting in their basement? Just sending out emails or something? I don't know.
It's amazing. I've had phone calls from people threatening to be the IRS saying, hey, we're going to deport you or we're going to arrest you or do all these if you don't pay this unpaid tax bill. And I'm going, I don't have an unpaid tax bill. I always pay my tax.
Well, there are more devious ones that say, we have a refund for you because you've been such a good taxpayer.
Yeah.
So we're going to send you some money. Just give us all your information so we can get it to your bank account.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, sure. I'll send you all my information. No problem. Well, that's the problem, right? Because they're looking legitimate. They're looking official. They even they do what's called spoofing. They make their emails look like it's coming from a actual government agency. And unfortunately, a lot of Americans fall victim to these scams. And you're at this point where you're really excited about getting your refunds. You've got a vacation plan you're going to take. And what happens if you get scammed and you lose all that money? What do you even do?
Right. I'm planning on maybe using a refund to update my house or something if that got taken away.
You are updating.
Yeah, I'm
going
to do my kitchen this year with maybe some of that.
Isn't your wall half knocked down right now?
It's about to start February 11th. So, but Gabe, my question to you is, what can we do? What can we do to guard against these scams?
Well, you have to have a lot of actually just smarts about you. It's kind of like street smarts. If you're in a city, at night, you have street smarts. You got to have scam smarts. Maybe we just trademarked that or something.
That's good.
Scam smarts here, because you have to know what to look out for. And if you can be informed and educated and know what to look out for, you're going to actually be able to catch these things. And so, the golden rule is don't give out your information.
And any
information, basically, to anybody.
I would even say, too, it might make sense this year to file early, get it done early so that the IRS can't say that you filed multiple tax returns, which one's yours.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe use some protection software if you have to, or don't carry your information with you.
Typically, if somebody is calling you asking for all your information, a safeguard you can do is don't answer that person, but go onto the main real website, call the actual number, and then ask if they were asking for your information, because sometimes, of course, if it's a scammer calling you and then you call the real site, they're going to say, no, we don't need anything from you. All right, you're good. So those are some of the things that you can do, but you gotta be careful. It's a lot of mean guys out there trying to steal your money.
It's hard. They're very convincing.
Yeah,
they've got a good script. They've done this thousands and thousands of times with success. So I think just going back to that rule, you never give your information out. If someone calls you, you just don't give your information out, period. You call them back, or you call the institution back, and just don't do it.
Yeah. So guys, watch out for those scams. And by the way, if you're looking to do your tax preparation here at SGL, we actually do tax preparation. I was the do when you say that. Gosh,
I wouldn't go there.
Yeah, well, so we try not to go. But we do tax preparation services here at SGL Financial, and if you're interested in that, that's something. Just keep in mind. Give us a call or go to our website. You can see all about the services and the pricing there. It's a good time to get your taxes done, of course, and get it done early. Get it out of the way. Get your refund in the queue there, and then have some fun with the money that you spend.
Awesome. By the way, can I say something?
You say anything,
anything
you want.
If anyone wants to participate in this, I welcome your participation. But I have a good buddy in Nigeria who has got $2 million waiting to come here. If I'll only send him $10,000.
That sounds like a good deal.
Yeah, he's a prince that is now a defunct prince. So, guys, when you get one of those, if it's coming from some place like that where the English is really bad and the spelling is worse, do not send your money. And you have a friend, Trent, that did that.
We did. We had somebody that said there was somebody coming over. It was going to be his new wife.
His new wife, right.
All he had to do was send $3,000 this way, and she'd come over with $1 million in gold. So,
well, that sounds like a great deal.
It was a good deal.
A very good deal, except for it wasn't a good deal.
It wasn't a good deal. She never showed up.
All right. Well, let's talk. The next one I want to talk about here. This was an interesting one here. It's actually an article from Next Avenue, which is an online company here related to PBS, it looks like. But what it's talking about is retirement planning different from financial planning? And I think this is a very interesting distinction, because lots of times, and we're financial planners and retirement planners, and you'll see a bit more about what that means here. But there is actually a distinction between retirement planning and financial planning that a lot of people aren't really aware about. Right, guys?
Absolutely, yeah, definitely.
So, that's. I thought it was brought up some pretty interesting points. So, what is the difference? I know I could answer, but what do you guys think? The difference between retirement planning and financial planning?
Well, I actually don't agree with the article.
Well, that's interesting.
I think financial planning includes retirement planning, and it includes getting to retirement planning.
Well, because that's what the article is saying. It's saying financial planning is up to retirement, and then retirement planning is after retirement.
Yeah. I'm not buying it. Financial planning is important. Well, here's the point, I think, Gabriel, is that you've got to know what stage of life you're in.
Mm-hmm.
If you're in prior to retirement, you have different focus of accumulating assets, of gathering assets, making them grow, paying for college, paying for all the things, new houses or whatever it is you're buying. It's an accumulation stage.
Going to Las Vegas.
Going to Las Vegas, right? Just sending money to Nigeria.
You got to get the priorities straight.
Yeah, and then you move into what we call the decumulation stage, which is a different stage, but they both require, in my mind, financial planning.
Yeah, I would tend to agree with you. I think they're both parts of financial planning. The way we define it, financial planning includes retirement planning if you're in your retirement stages or prepping for retirement. But I do think it's good if you're out there thinking about what stage that you're in, because what this article was talking about is how there's much different focuses between those two different aspects or different parts of your financial planning, right? So what's that focus if you're before retirement? What are you really trying to do?
You're really just, we're trying to get to a certain number, right? You're trying to get your plan in place to make sure that you've accumulated enough assets so that it does support you for retirement.
Mm-hmm.
And then they talk about switching, right, from financial planning to retirement planning, which then focuses a little more on your expenses, a little more on the detail of how to cover those expenses because there is no more paycheck.
Yeah.
And that's the main difference in the
Well, that's the hard part when you lose the paycheck, right? Some of we're going to or maybe even switch gears here. We're going to talk about the shutdown here, but a lot of people lost their paycheck and they weren't retired.
They were not
for a couple weeks there, and that's hard, right? So you think about how much you've gotten used to that paycheck coming in every other week, for 30 or 40 years that you've been working, and then all of a sudden that's gone. Right, there's a big shift there into retirement mode.
Yeah, it's a mind shift.
A huge shift.
It's a mind shift. And what's interesting is Gabriel and Trent, most people we see come in for retirement planning, but their mindset is still in accumulation. The first thing they want to talk to us about is how are you going to make my money grow?
Yeah.
Where the first question should be is how does my money support me for the rest of my life?
Yeah, everyone's so focused on growth because that's all you cared about before you were retiring, right? You got to save and grow your money. And it was all about what we say ROI, return on investment. And that's the number one focus. And I was actually just writing a blog post today that's going to go out next week that just talks about how, there's different priorities that you have, right? And depending on what those priorities are, that's going to determine what you should be invested in. That's the same in your retirement planning if you're thinking about retirement, and it's obviously the same if you're, even 30 years old, Now, when you're 30, you should be absolutely focused on growth. When you're 70, Dad, like you were saying, the income might be a little bit more important.
Well, as soon as the check turns off when people retire, nobody is prepared for that moment. It kind of hits them like, where's my check? Well, you got to get it out of your own assets now.
Make your own check.
Pay yourself.
Make it as big as you want, as small
as small as you want, right?
I would say this too, that as we've met people over the last little bit as well, is one of the things we notice is that whether it's a financial plan or a retirement plan, it's so important just to have quote a plan.
Yeah.
You've got no one comes in with an actual plan. So I think if you're ready to make that move or make that shift, it's so valuable to get somebody's opinion and to get a plan done to help you avoid any mistakes or anything like that.
Absolutely.
But going back to the shutdown, can you imagine these folks? Most folks, unfortunately, in America live in check to check. If they don't get their check, they can't pay the rent, they can't buy food, they can't. So this shutdown, what did we read? $11 billion.
Yeah, it cost the economy $11 billion with a B, $11 billion. That's a lot of money.
You think? So this shutdown had tremendous impact financially, and I think more so psychologically. It really created a lot of emotional turmoil for these families, for how the government supports us and doesn't support us. We don't get into politics here, but we do know a shutdown affects everybody, and it's not a great thing.
Yeah, and what it says here is, $11 billion, and they say some of it will be recouped, and that was basically because, and there's always the cause and effect here, but you had people that were out of work, and when you're out of work and you're not getting a paycheck, what don't you do?
Yeah, you don't buy anything.
You don't buy anything. And if you don't buy anything, that doesn't put any money back into the economy. So that's that trickle effect. And they say, once people get their back pay, it's going to help recover a little bit. But that was some of the challenge here. And again, this was the longest government shutdown in history. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, and they said that number didn't even take into account things like the access to loans and ability for people to be able to get money federally, and so that could even be lower than what the actual number ends up being.
Yeah, absolutely. So hopefully this shutdown is done for good here. We'll all knock on wood here and hope the government fixes that, because nobody should be without a paycheck here. Although it's always funny that the workers don't get the paychecks, but the senators and everybody do. So that's kind of not so fair.
So during the shutdown, if you looked at the consumer confidence levels, so there's two levels. There's a consumer confidence today, and then there's a consumer expectation level. So during the shutdown, consumer confidence was going down today, but consumer expectations in the future were going way down. Now, that came back a little bit in January, but consumption, consumer buying is 68% of the gross domestic product. And when that suffers, then the economy starts to go into a recession. So I'm not saying that's going to happen, but those are the linkages that we got to watch out.
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the things that these workers had to do, they had to be cautious with their money, and that's something that really can apply to all of us. So let's talk a little bit about that. This article from CNBC that just came out, talking about budget tricks here in 2019. Make the most of the money that you do have. Wouldn't it be great if we just had unlimited money?
It'd be unbelievable, right?
We could just spend it on whatever we want to and go on all the vacations and the yachts, and that would be pretty neat. But unfortunately, I don't have any yachts.
No, me neither. They said that the good news is that in 2019, if you want to make your money work more for you, the good news is you don't have to make more. The bad news is you do have to budget. So
you mean
budget?
Spend less?
We have to
budget.
Budget that word.
Budget that word. Oh.
I love budgeting.
Yeah, I bet you do.
I actually really do. I personally actually really enjoy budgeting.
That's 1 out of 3.
Yeah, that's 1 out of 3 is right.
Yeah. Well, I know actually most Americans don't like budgeting and they don't like spending less. If judge on the Starbucks line I pass by every morning, I don't normally go in the Starbucks line every morning. Many people do enjoy their spending. So budgeting, one of those things, right? How do we spend less? Just a couple quick tips here. There's lots of things you can do. I would say the first thing, jokingly, all joking aside here, is to have your budget. And, of course, that means taking a couple hours out of your Saturday or Sunday and sitting down with a good cup of coffee and your Excel spreadsheet or a piece of paper.
Is that a Starbucks coffee, or does it have to be less expensive?
It could be Dunkin' Donuts.
Dunkin'
if you're trying
Donuts,
to,
right. Okay.
Save $1 on your coffee.
Just checking.
I think $1 every day
Hey.
from Dunkin' Donuts to Starbucks is $30 a month. That's $360 a year. That's a lot. Yeah,
You do like to budget.
Yeah,
I can
of course.
tell. Yeah.
So sit down and what you do is you got to jot down what you spend. You gotta actually track what you spend, and there's actually lots of software tools that you can use to make this easier. If you do dislike it, you can try to make it a little bit more fun using some of these technology tools, and that'll track your credit card purchases and things like that. But yeah, that's one of the first tips there. And this article actually has 7 tips total for you.
Yeah, so I'm going to give a plug for mint.com, which I think is the best budgeting. It's what I use. Yeah. I actually have a budget, but it's what I use. It tracks everything, money in, money out. It sends me warnings when I've overspent. And if I run low in a month, it actually sends me money. No, I'm just kidding. It doesn't quite do that.
Well, that would be a nice budgeting tool. I would like that one.
Sure.
Well, just some quick hits here. Okay, some other options that you have is, number 1, identify purchases in the past that you've regretted, right? So if you realize last year, oh, man, I went out and bought that really great new driver. Trent, you're a golfer, right? You bought a new driver, let's say.
Every year, but I don't regret it.
Oh, well, maybe it actually made you better. But let's say you went out and bought that new driver, and it really didn't help your golf game, and you're saying, I didn't need to spend that. What do they even cost, Trent? Like
$400,
$500,
$600.
It could be that high.
$600, right? So go back and look at the things you bought, and if for anything you bought, or it could be a new toaster, it could be a new, I don't know, whatever, vacuum cleaner. I'm thinking about house cleaning or supplies for right now.
Yeah,
I don't know. But maybe a new pair of mittens here for the snow. But whatever it is,
what about
that
a new
you,
pair of shoes or clothes, yeah.
If you look back and say, well, I really could have done without that thing, that can give you some insight into your spending habits for future years here, and you can maybe avoid buying those same things going forward because you realize you really didn't need it. So that's one of your options.
What I like to do is when I'm going to make a big expense, like I was looking at counter ovens. What do you call those counter ovens? Where you
toaster ovens?
Toaster oven, but they do everything.
What's the counter oven?
Well, you stick it on the counter and it toasts and it bakes and it microwaves. It does everything. Every 5 minutes gives you a finger massage. Everything that you can expect. They're quite expensive, and so what I do in those cases when I'm looking at that, I say, okay, I really want to buy this, but what is this costing me in something else? In other words, I put it up against an opportunity that I'm going to lose by buying this, and sometimes the opportunity I'm going to lose, I say, hey, that's really more important, and then I don't buy it.
Yeah, and guys, this applies to all ages, right? You don't have to be 30 and saving. You can be 65, 70 and saving. Watch what you're spending.
Or 110 like me,
Yeah, of course. 100. You look good for 110.
Thank you.
So a couple things here. Let's talk about a few other topics here on today's show, and then we're gonna call it a wrap. See, the one I want to talk about here is something that's timely. How do you rebalance your retirement accounts? And what is rebalancing? Okay, and a lot of our clients come to us and we do their rebalancing for them, so they don't even have to worry about it. But if you're out there, rebalancing is something very, very important, and it's a good time to be doing it right now because, and we talked about a little earlier, just of how volatile the market was last year. So what that does is when things go a little crazy, whether it's big gains or big drops, your portfolio, if you had a certain style that you were trying to manage it, let's say 70% stocks, 30% bonds, all of a sudden that might be 60% stocks, 40% bonds, depending on how things have performed.
Because stocks go up in value,
or they went down in value.
Or down in value, but it changes the proportion inside the portfolio.
So if you just completely ignore your portfolio, over time, that 70% stocks could actually turn into 90% stocks. And all of a sudden you're in something far more aggressive than you intended to be. And that can happen within your 401k. It can happen in your personal investment accounts. So with some of the market volatility, when that occurs, it's a good time to remind yourself, I should look at my portfolio and look for a rebalancing opportunity, because what the research and the data shows is rebalancing can really add a significant amount to your long-term investment returns.
Up to a percentage point extra growth by rebalancing.
Potentially, yeah, depending on exactly when and how you do it.
You know what's cool? You know what's cool about rebalancing?
What
everybody we're taught, right? You got to buy low and sell high.
Mm-hmm.
And that's exactly what rebalancing does. Stocks go up in value. They're out of proportion. They're high. Your bonds are low. So now you're rebalanced. What are you doing? You're selling it high and buying it low, and you keep rebalancing. That's why it's worth an extra half a point to a point in performance.
So we want to buy low and sell high.
I learned that somewhere.
Is it? That's important, right?
It's super important.
Yeah,
you don't want to do it the opposite.
Except there's one problem. If you're not doing it in a rebalancing mode inside a well-diversified portfolio, and you're trying to time the market, all the research says you can't.
Yeah. So rebalancing, guys, isn't timing. Very important.
Very important.
Yeah. It's not timing. It's saying it's a strategic move that you do diligently and with discipline. It's going to allow you to get better results long term from your investments and not take too much risk. It's going to stay in line with where you want to be.
Yeah, big problem is people that are doing it themselves don't obviously have they might not have the wherewithal to even know to do that.
Yep.
So if you don't have someone professionally managing your money, it's very important to keep an eye on that.
So look at your portfolio and ask yourself, am I in the allocation I want to be? Do I need to rebalance? If you still don't even know what that means, call us, right?
Yeah, let's review it together.
And again, guys, as you know, with this show, what's great about this new format that we're talking about here is if you got questions at any point in time, email us those, or if you see a great article you want us to talk about, or you want to hear more about our thoughts, you send us an email. Go on the website, send us an email. We'd be happy to bring up your question on the show, and we'll probably have questions that we'll include periodically here as they come in. So that's really a great thing about the show. So once again, we're so excited here about this new format. We're glad to have you joining us. I do think we're going to have a ton more fun with this new and improved version. I'm having more fun already.
Well, I hope everyone listening is having more fun.
Yeah, exactly. So now just a couple things to wrap things up. I do want to say, guys, the Chicago Auto Show is coming up soon.
Yep.
Right, we talked about that, so we want to include some great local news and information, things you might be interested in. I know I love cars. I've always been a car guy.
You're in the market for a new car, aren't you?
Actually, in a couple months, yeah. My lease is up. That's a whole other topic, right? Leasing versus buying. We'll get into that at some point, I'm sure. So yeah, make sure you mark your calendars for that if you're interested in that, and of course, enjoy this summer weather we're going to get here. A heat wave in a couple days. So that's pretty exciting. So
and I told you I got to be serious. Folks, don't worry about Fed interest rate rises.
No, we don't.
They've kind of capped on that. That's a happy ending.
That's a fun ending.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't make sure you watch those Fed interest rate hikes, right? It is very important actually. We'll talk more about that on a future show here, I'm sure, but it does impact the economy and can be an important thing to keep your eye on. So, good news is they're not going to raise it hopefully for the near future here.
Yeah, they're keeping a shutdown on it now.
They are. Mm-hmm. So, guys out there, our listeners, we appreciate you. Thanks so much. Send us your questions. Let us know anything we can help. And
how do people get in touch with us?
Just website. Just send in a form. Yeah, email us. Anything you like. Carrier pigeon.
Do we have a phone number?
We do have a phone number, 847-499-3330. If you want to give us a call. Otherwise, have a wonderful, wonderful day, and we'll catch you on our next show.
See y'all.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to Our 2 Cents with Steve and Gabriel Lewitt. For any questions about your finances, give SGL a call at 847-499-3330 or visit us on the web at sglfinancial.com. And be sure to subscribe to join us on next week's episode.